Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the League Racing TV YouTube channel for round 3 of Season 4 of TTML Division 3. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Carmentis. I'll be taking you through proceedings on a Thursday evening, as per usual, and joining me once again in the commentary box is our good fellow resident commentator in Division 3, Mr. TTG Conti. Conti, how are you doing this evening?
Yeah, well, thank you. What a great announcement today. Yeah, I'm doing really good, and yeah, I must say, my compliments for yesterday's race. I've been watching EML, and you were great on comms.
Well, get that little bit of gloat out of the way. Thank you very much. It was a really good race actually yesterday in EML. If none of you watching have seen it yet, go back and watch the EML League One and Premier Division race from yesterday. They were both very interesting races at Singapore. But we move on to round 3 of TTML tonight, and we are at China for the third round of the season. So something a little bit different to what we've had so far. We've had Silverstone and Japan for the first 2 rounds. This though is definitely the first round where strategy is really going to play a big part, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Tire degradation is just awful around this track. Softs go off really. Uh, yeah, just in a couple of laps, your softs are gone. So yeah, really interesting to see on which tire everybody's gonna do their quali. Are they gonna wait and come out at the last moment on the mediums, or are they just gonna go for track position and go for the softs?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those tracks where there's kind of two pole positions to fight for in this one in terms of being first and being 11th on the grid. You see it at tracks like this, you see it at places like Abu Dhabi and Canada as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see what these guys do today for strategy. Obviously, the soft tyres, like you mentioned, go off very quickly. The medium tyre, the medium to hard, is definitely the preferable strategy. It's whether you can make it work with the traffic you have in front of you. Just looking at the championship standings coming into the third round of the season. So we've had two different winners in the first 2 rounds of the season, which is great to see. At the top of the table at the moment, both of our two winners are joint on points on 46 points at the moment. Secret DJ Jill over Simply Superman, because of course DJ Jill got the first win of the season. Graham in third after a second place finish last time out in Japan. Fourth in the standings is David ahead of Jan, the two Racing Points drivers, fourth and fifth. Hero Joking in sixth. He was a podium sitter in the first round of the season. He's level on points with Jabu in the Ferrari. Kiki runs 8th in the Alfa Romeo ahead of Tom in the AlphaTauri in ninth, and Nelly is the one that rounds out the top 10. Outside the top 10, some big names that haven't really scored well so far. Gotta say, maybe TCG Charlie, Secret Dundee, and Steve are three drivers that are languishing down there. Maybe Langfeld as well, another one that hasn't quite got off to the best of starts. But just looking at the top 10 we've got so far, is there anyone that stands out to you as someone that's surprised you so far?
Yeah, definitely. And on one side, he surprises me, but yeah, actually, he really doesn't. We've been talking about him, yeah, quite a few times. It's Graham. He's in third place in the championship, doing really good. But yeah, we said it before, and end of last season as well. He's not really a flashy driver, and with a lot of sex appeal. But in the end, he's there near the podium or on the podium. And he's in third in the championship, so it's kind of surprising and kind of not.
Yeah, he's very consistent. Is Graham? He's always up there in the midpoint of the top 10, if not on the podium. You're yet to see him take a race victory, but I wouldn't be surprised if that does happen at some point this season. And it's races where penalties and strategy come into it is where Graham shines. So this could be a really good night for Graham if he's able to get the speed around this circuit. We were talking very briefly about our thoughts about this track, and I think it's fair to say that we both come to the same conclusion about this circuit. But for these drivers, this is definitely one of those tracks where some people really shine and other people really suffer with a lack of speed here.
Yeah, it's really a track that has to suit you. It definitely doesn't suit me. I don't like driving here, but some guys do, and they're really quick. I don't know where they get their speed from, but if it's a track that suits you and you can be good with your tires, then yeah, it's a dream driving here. It's just yeah, kind of jealous of the guys that can do that.
Yeah, me too, definitely. I'm one of those drivers that's just struggled a bit with this track as well. One thing to note about this track, despite it being a permanent circuit, it does have very little grip, especially in traction zones, and there are a lot of traction zones around this circuit, so that can catch a lot of drivers out. Looking at then a bit further down the standings, we mentioned who's surprised us to being so high up. Is there anyone that surprised you so far as to not performing early on this season? I've got one person in my head that maybe hasn't quite lived up to the expectation, but is there anybody to you that hasn't had the best start of seasons?
Yeah, if we're looking inside of the top 10, I must say Tom. He did really, really good last season. Every race he drove, he just grew and performed better. So yeah, if we're looking inside the top 10, it's going to be Tom. But outside the top 10, there's actually a couple of guys. Charlie can be fast, but just doesn't drive enough. But if you take a look at guys like Steve and Langfeld, they're really out of position, and yeah, you expect them to be up in the top 5, top 6 drivers in the championship.
Yeah, you definitely do expect them to be up there, and Langfeld was on for a really good result this time last week at Japan on that alternate strategy, was running in 5th, unfortunately before a late race spin put him completely out of contention, so yeah, he's not where he needs to be. Running in 4th in the standings a lot of the time last season, so expect more from Langfeld. Expect more from Atlas Copo as well, moving up from Division 4 last season. Hasn't had the best of starts, it's kind of been languishing outside the top 10, hasn't quite got into his rhythm yet, but this could be a track that suits him a little bit better, so we will wait and see. Out on track at the moment, the lead car out on the track is one of the Racing Points. I believe it is Jan who's going to be the first person on a lap at the moment, and you can already see a bit of a split in what drivers are going for in terms of tyres. Uncle Ben's Rice and Kieran Trapp both out on the track on a set of medium compound tyres, which is not that surprising, but if you're going to try and qualify inside the top 10 on the medium compound tyres, it's much better to wait towards the end of the session, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but that's also going to be a risk, because if you can't pull it off on the medium tires, you're just starting outside of the top 10, and you could have gone for the softs then as well. But yeah, it's always guys who are confident and are feeling good are gonna try it on the mediums in their last stint. And if you're not feeling that well and yeah, not performed well in the last couple of races, you're gonna be starting on the softs for sure, because you just want to have track position.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to run aboard then with Jan in the Racing Point. He's been off to a much better start this season than last season, with a 5th and a 3rd place finish in the first 2 rounds. Let's see what he can do at China. He's going to be the first person on a lap then, so he heads up towards turn 1, but Secret Dundee there, parked right on the apex on the inside of turn 1. That was not smart from the Renault driver. That has massively compromised Jan's line into the first 2 corners. We'll continue on board with him. It looks like he's going to continue on with this lap, but that is already compromised because of the Renault leaving the pit lane. Down towards the end of the first sector then, he's come out of turns 3 and 4, down towards the hairpin at the end of the first sector then, tucks it into the corner quite nicely. It's a very slow corner, another tricky traction zone as he heads up the hill into the middle part of the lap. You need a lot of downforce in these 2 corners, and you do kind of tend to lack downforce around this track because of the final sector, but keeps it nice and neat. No struggles with oversteer or understeer, it seems. Keeps it on the racing line nicely. Short shifts up to 6 to make sure that he doesn't get any wheel spin midway through the corner. Up towards the end of the second sector now, short shifting once again to try and nail the wheel spin as he heads towards the next part of the lap. A 50.7 at the end of the second sector. The Alfa Romeo behind him on a lap, I think, is on a much faster lap. That's Simply Superman currently on a lap at the moment as we head then round towards the next. Ooh, and that's a big snap of oversteer there midway through the corner, and that just goes to show how difficult it is to get a lap right around this circuit. A couple of times on that lap he didn't look like he was quite on it, just a snap of oversteer there in one of the trickiest corners on the track, and it's cost him big time. We'll ride back on board with Simply Superman, last week's race winner, half a second up on Jan's time by the end of the second sector. He heads up then towards the final corner, just the kink left, and then up towards the start-finish line. Make sure you don't run out too wide. You can invalidate your time. Simply Superman keeps it on the track nicely, crosses the line, and it's a 29.2 to start off the session from the Alfa Romeo driver. That's a pretty decent lap on a set of soft compound tyres. Uncle Ben's Rice on a set of mediums goes 2.3 seconds slower. Langfell clearly slowed down at the end of his lap on a 32 flat. Kieran Trapp a 31 flat. Nelly next crosses the line at 29.7, half a second off Simply Superman's pace at the front of the field. David, I think, has just come around to start a lap, as has Secret Dundee. More people on laps at the moment. Next driver, I think one of the next drivers to come to the line is going to be Flores in the Haas. I believe Jordan's just starting his first lap in qualifying as well. Here comes Flores then up towards the final corner. Where can he put that Haas on the grid? He's not going to be able to set a valid time because he understeers wide at the final corner, and that's his time invalidated. Would have been a 30.4, would have been enough for third on the grid so far, but very few people have set lap times. Stino crosses the line at 29.7, goes half a tenth clear of Nelly. Jabu in the second Ferrari will be next across the line with Kiki just behind him on the road. Here comes Jabu then up towards the line. P4 in a 30.4, not the best lap for the man who's had a solid start to the season. Kiki a 30.1 goes into P4, but once again, Simply Superman off to a flying start in qualifying.
Yeah, he is. This is a great time, and yeah, I've actually been sneaking around a little bit in the practice before this race, and Simply Superman was doing the almost exact same time in his qualifying session there, and he ended up with a 28.9 on his final run. So yeah, I know he can do faster, and probably if he sets his mind to it, he can even go faster than the 28.9 he did before starting this qualifying session.
That's very ominous as well for the rest of the field. We've got David will be the next driver to cross the line in the racing point. See what he can do as he comes up towards the line, crosses the line. It's a 29.7, another one into the 29.7s, goes P4 for the time being. Secret Dundee crosses the line at 30.8 in the Renault. Jordan will be next to cross the line in the other Renault as he heads around the final corner. He's on the soft compound tyres, crosses the line, has invalidated. It would have been a 30.2, would have been enough to put him at P6 on the grid so far. But first runs are pretty much done. Secret DJ Jill, I believe, is the only one at the moment on a lap. Secret DJ Jill, obviously the winner in the first round of the season, but halfway through, when only half the grid really has seemingly set competitive lap times, just goes to show that it's pretty difficult around trying to get a clean lap in.
Yeah, it is. It's really easy to spin or lose traction, as you said in the beginning, and the last corner is really yeah. If you take the last corner too careful, you're gonna lose heaps of time, but you really have to be on edge because, as we saw with Flores, it's really easy to go wide and pick up a penalty or invalidate your time in quali there.
Yeah, Secret DJ Jill then coming up towards that final corner. Let's see what he can do as he crosses the line. He was matching Simply Superman in the middle part of the lap up towards the line. 2/10 slower in the final sector. 29.4 from Secret DJ Jill goes onto the front row. But that is one thing to note. The final sector, pretty much that whole sector is about straight line speed. So that maybe suggests that Simply Superman might have a little bit of a faster car in a straight line. 2/10 clear at the front of the field so far. Someone else just improved. That was Steve, I believe, on his second lap on the mediums. That's gone at P10 on a 31.3. I think another driver as well that's just done a lap is Sean, once again on the medium compound tyres, but a 32 flat from him, so he's 7/10 of a second behind his Mercedes teammate at the moment. Sean, though, going for another lap on the mediums, as you would expect at this point in the race, in the qualifying session. Sorry, Jan is now out on the track, and interestingly, Jan has gone out on a set of mediums, so it's clear that the man that's famous for doing alternate strategies is clearly wanting to start on a different set of tyres.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised because he was doing his first one on the soft tires, but yeah, I mean mediums. If you're fast and you can put on a good lap, he was hindered a bit in his first stint and lost traction in the final section. But yeah, if you can get into the top 10 on the mediums, yeah, you're doing really good, and I think Jen is a driver who can pull that off.
Yeah, he definitely could pull it off. We'll see what he can do then in the final parts of this lap then as he heads out towards the back straight. Much neater this time around through that corner. Had to short shift a lot to make sure he didn't wheel spin, but still gets a nice enough run out of the corner, down the back straight, then up towards turn 14, the hairpin. See how late he dares to brake in that racing point as he hits the braking zone. And now, just before the 100-metre border, gets the car stopped nicely for the corner, then up towards, through the kink of 15, and then up towards turn 16, the final corner on the lap. Where can he put that racing point on the medium compound tyres? Currently 18th on the grid without a time, crosses the line, goes P9 on a 30.9. That is the fastest medium run we've had so far, only by a tenth though over Kieran Traps, whose best time was also on the medium compound tyres. You've got to say it's a decent lap on the medium tyres, but at this point in the session we're still waiting for some fast drivers to set times, so looks like Jan is probably going to have to try and do a lap on the softs.
Yeah, he probably does, because you don't want to do too much laps on the medium, as yeah, even on the mediums the tire degradation isn't that good, so you definitely just want to do one hot lap on your lap. So probably he's gonna come in and do another lap on the softs.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Simply Superman currently on another run, and he's a tenth and a bit up in the first 2 sectors so far. So it's a good start to the second run in qualifying for Simply Superman. Ever the strong driver in qualifying, really struggled last season. It seems like he's finally got a bit of his mojo back now after a win last time out. He's now looking like he could be on for a really good result once again today as he heads down the back straight and up towards the hairpin. Can he find any more time in this final sector? He has clearly had the advantage in this final sector over Secret DJ Jill so far. Can he find a little bit more time into the hairpin? Nice and neat on the exit as well. Runs right up to the grass on the exit of turn 15. And then into the final corner goes the Alfa Romeo driver. Keeps it on the road nicely up towards the line. It was a 29.2. Crosses the line. Stays a 29.2. We actually lost at over a tenth and a half in that final sector. Didn't find any more time. So maybe even Simply Superman can't seem to match his best final sector so far. Not the best end to the lap, but still at the moment he's comfortable on pole position.
Yeah, he definitely is. And on the moment, I'm on board with Nelly, and last week as well. I must say his qualifying pace has really improved over last season. Was a bit unlucky on his tire strategy last week, but if he keeps this up and his race pace, and he improves on his race pace as well, it's going to be a great season for Nelly.
Yeah, it really is. He's currently 10th at the moment. He had a really shocking first round of the season, unfortunately, in Silverstone, but it picked up quite nicely in Japan. Across the line goes Atlas Copo, goes P10 in the Williams. Into the pit lane comes Nelly. He couldn't find any more time on that lap, so he's bailed out of it for the time being. Flores and Hiro Jokin, I think, are one of the next drivers to come and set a lap time. Hiro Jokin's actually in the middle part of the lap. Across the line goes Flores, goes P7, so a good lap from Flores there to go ahead of Jambu. Stinner currently on a lap at the moment in the Ferrari. Across the line goes Kiki, improves to 29.7, a thousandth of a second slower than David, but stays in 6th. Stinner then up towards the line, invalidates at the final corner what would have been a 29.3, so that would have put him second place if he had able to complete that time. Unfortunately he didn't, but looks like Stinner at the moment could be right up there in this battle for pole position a little bit later on. Secret DJ Jill has just started his next run in qualifying. David's on a run as well. It's only slightly up in the middle 2 parts of the lap. Can he find any more time in the final part of the lap? Secret Dundee, I think, is also in the final sector. Currently 10th on the grid, massively improved in Japan compared to Silverstone, but still didn't get the result out of it that he would have wanted. Spun late on and retired from the race because of it. He's actually down in non-ERS mode coming down through this final corner, so it looks like he's completely backed off this run. He's diving into the pit lane because of it, so Secret Dundee stays 10th for the time being. He won't be improving. David around the final corner, invalidates around the final corner. That's not going to be an improvement for him. He didn't improve on his time anyway, so he stays 5th for the time being, but just clearly showing that it's difficult to set valid times here. Jabu improves by nearly half a second, but stays in P7 because of it. Hiro Jokin crosses the line, goes P8 in the McLaren. So at the moment, you've got to say the top 3 are really the only ones that look like they could challenge for pole position at the moment.
Yeah, they can, and yeah, just below the top 3, it's really close to till Jabu. So a tenth there, or even in some cases 100ths of a second can gain places. So yeah, still everything to fight for in what's probably going to be the final run these guys are going to set. Except Jen, Steve, and Sean, who are on their outlap and doing kind of out of sync laps at the moment.
Yeah, going out a little bit at different times to everybody else, but they shouldn't be affected by any traffic because of it. So let's see what Jan can do then. We'll ride on board with the Mercedes driver. The Racing Point driver, sorry. I mean, I'm getting mixed up with the Mercedes already. I mean, it is a carbon copy of the Mercedes, but there you go. He heads in towards turn 1 this time around. No effect of a car coming out the pit lane on the inside, but you can tell there just quite a lot of understeer in turn 2. He really struggled to get the car turned into the apex, maybe suggesting he's not got a lot of downforce on that car as he heads up towards the end of the first sector. So his first sector time is like a 23.6. He improves by 3.5 tenths of a second, but that's over his best time on a set of medium compound tyres. So bear that in mind. At the moment, a 30.9, that's a 30.6 as it stands, would put him back inside the top 10. Got a bit more time to find though, especially in this middle part. This is where he's going to gain the most time over those medium compound tyres. Again, having to short shift up into 6th before the braking zone there. Not really comfortable in that car at the moment, does Jan look. He's really struggling to get the power down. Having to short shift a lot. He's up 8.5 tenths up on his personal best, but it's still not close enough to challenge the top 2 as it stands as he heads through the final sector now then. Really long corner. Struggled on his first lap on the softs to get the power down. Much neater this time around. Looking possibly getting into that battle for 4th place as it stands. It's incredibly close from Stinner down to Kiki. Less than a tenth covers the 4 drivers. Jan might be able to pop himself right in that battle as he heads up towards turn 14. gets the car stopped. A little bit of a lock up there, but gets the car into the apex quite nicely. Up towards then the final corner. Where can he put that racing point? Can he challenge at the front of the field once again? Turns in very early for 16, but gets away with it up towards the line. So 29.6, he goes just ahead of that battle and into P3. A good lap from Jan, but ultimately just didn't seem to have a lot of front end in that car. Was understeering quite a lot.
Yeah, he was, and really didn't have the confidence to put his foot down. Was short shifting all the way up to sixth. So. Yeah, I think that there was more time in this lap for him, but yeah, in the end he stayed on the road and puts his car in P3 so far. So it's not that bad for a lap that didn't look as confident as Jan could make it look in other races.
Yeah, still P3 at the moment, so good, but that might be actually be about to be stolen by Steve, who's coming around the final corner. Was a 10th up on Jan in the middle part of the lap, crosses the line, goes just ahead of Jan by 28 thousandths of a second. Once again, it's incredibly close in Division 3 qualifying, but Steve now pops himself up into third place, and that's exactly the kind of qualifying result he needs. He's not had the best start of season so far. Really, Sean last season had a massive improvement jump from season 2 to season 3. Season 4, it's not got off to the best of starts, but we've still got a long way to go. Uncle Ben's Rice is currently on a lap as well in the McLaren. He's gone purple apparently in the middle part of the lap, but I doubt that is the case. He's a 10th up on his personal best at the moment. He would be matching the likes of Jan and Steve if he continued on with this lap. It looks like maybe on previous laps he's either made a mistake in the final part of the lap or he's backed off. We'll see this time around if he commits to completing the run as he heads down towards turn 14 then. Not had the best start to the season himself either, has Uncle Ben's Rice. Has not really had a standout performance so far. Could this be one of those nights where he's able to get that standout performance in as he heads up towards turn 16 for his final run in qualifying? Does he continue on with a lap not as aggressive as the other two drivers around that final corner? Crosses the line, goes right in between the pair of them in P4. A 29.672, goes 6 thousandths clear of Jan. So again, still incredibly close up there at the moment, but a good qualifying lap from Uncle Ben's Rice, and at the moment that would be by far his best qualifying in TTML if he can hold on to that for the rest of the session. I doubt though that he's going to be able to do that. One thing to note going into these final runs, Secret DJ Joe started his final run as a Secret Dundee. This is the first time that Graham has gone out onto the track in this session. Currently 18th, hasn't even set an outlap in this session so far, leaving it right to the last minute and saving some tyres.
Yeah, he's starting to do it even in qualifying now, just hiding all session long, and then in the end, yeah, I'm really curious to see where he ends up in this quali session, and really curious. Maybe he can tell us that after the race why he went out so late, because you're putting yourself in a disadvantage if you're not doing your laps in quali as you should. It should be his third lap now with confidence and track knowledge.
Yeah, it should be like you say. As Secret Dungeon's entered the pit lane, he's not improving on 13th place. Secret DJ Jill around the final corner, big oversteer moment, crosses the line and can't beat Simply Superman's time. 29.3 from DJ Jill, wasn't able to find enough time in the rest of the lap to improve it enough. So at the moment, Simply Superman holds on to that advantage. Stinner though, a 10th up in the first sector. He's off to a flying start in this final run. One of the Mercedes cars will be next across the line. That's Sean starting his final run in qualifying. Hero Joking will be the last driver to start his final run, so we'll see what he can do. Currently down at the moment in 11th place. Here comes Stinner then through the final part of the lap. One of the Haas cars in front of him on the road, I believe that is Nelly. He'll be the first person to finish their final run in qualifying. Currently 7th on the grid. Has improved a lot in qualifying recently. Can he get himself in front of all the drivers he's around? Even a 10th improvement can put him on the second row. He comes around the final corner up towards the line, and he finds even more than that. Goes P3 on a 29.4. Great lap from Nelly in the Haas to go into that third place. Can Stinner though steal it back off of him? He's 3.5 tenths up in the middle part of the lap. Crosses the line. Stinner goes P2. Great final sector from Stinner. He goes ahead of Secret DJ Jill. That is another new driver at the front of the field. Jabu improves by quite a hefty amount of time. Goes P5. So both Ferraris performing nicely at the moment. Across the line goes Kiki in 10th place at the moment. He's not able to improve. Simply Superman is able to improve by a 10th of a second onto a 29.1. He solidifies his pace at the top of the field. Kieran Trapp will be next. He's only done a time on the mediums, and he invalidates at the final corner what would have been only a 30.4, so it would have been enough to put him inside the top 10. Across the line goes Flores to go P11, a good lap from him. Next, I believe, will be David in the Racing Point, currently 9th, goes 6th on a 29.6, a good lap from him. Across the line comes Langfell, only 12th for Langfell. Jordan goes P14. Where can Graham put that Red Bull? Currently last, goes 11th into that crucial 11th place spot. That might have worked out really nicely for Graham if he can hold on to that for the rest of the session. Sean crosses the line, goes P14. Hero Jokin will be the last one to finish his time. Atlas Copo's gone off the road at the hairpin. Here comes Hero Jokin to the line, currently 15th on the grid, crosses the line. He takes over that 11th spot from Graham, misses out on 10th place by 4 thousandths of a second, but second pole position goes to Hero Jokin in 11th place. Simply Superman looked like he was holding on to it from the start of the session. No one was able to get close enough, and for the second week running, Simply Superman's on pole position.
Yeah, a couple of guys came close, like Stinner and DJ Jill, but yeah, in the end, Simply Superman leading the qualifying session from start to finish. So great job from him, and yeah, 11th place, really wanted by a lot of drivers. Flores, Graham, Hero Jokin, everyone has been there, and quite important, Kiki inside the top 10 on the medium tire.
Yeah, I think that is just the tyre he went out on that final run, and when I look to his best lap, it looks like he is on the soft. So I think he tried to improve on his soft run on a set of mediums. That was going to be a tall order, no matter how fast you are, but he wasn't quite able to do that. And crucially, two very fast drivers in Kiki and Jan, probably in the worst places on the grid, you've got to say, 9th and 10th at the very back of the queue of the soft runners inside that top 10 that's running quickly through the rest of the grid before we talk about that. But Simply Superman on pole by a 10th of a second over Stinner. So Stinner, a great qualifying, his best qualifying of the season so far. Could we be staring at another new winner in TTML? Secret DJ Jill in third ahead, and Nelly in fourth. Great qualifying from him as well. Jabu once again right up there in the top 5 in the Ferrari. David in sixth ahead of Steve, 7th with his best qualifying of the season. Uncle Ben's Rice with his best qualifying of the season as well in 8th ahead of Jan and Kiki. Hero Jokin heads Graham in 11th and 12th. Flores 13th ahead of Langfeld, Sean, Jordan, Secret Dundee, Atlas Copo, and Kieran Trapp are the 19 drivers. Kieran Trapp only set a time on the medium compound tyres. We couldn't quite see what he could have done on a set of softs, but 19th on the grid for him, not where he would have wanted to start. But like I mentioned, Kiki and Jan, two fast drivers, in a really, really poor position going into this race.
Yeah, they are. They're the last soft runners in the stint, and yeah, if you wanna start lower, 11th place because you got the free tire choice is the best place to start. So yeah, not where they want to start. Also mid pack, it's at the start. It's always chaotic. So wing damage could be happening. Don't hope. I jinxed them now, but yeah, it's not where you want to start in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, no, like you say, definitely don't want to, especially with that Constantine effect in towards turn 2. It really tightens up through there. We'll wait and see what these drivers do and what these drivers do in terms of strategy. Hero Jokin is the man on that secondary pole position. You've got to say on the grid, the first time this season that P11 really means something to these drivers. So Hero Jokin has got that from Graham. Two drivers who've had pretty solid start. Well, I say solid, very good starts to the season. Both of them podium finishes so far this season. Looking to try something a little bit different in terms of strategy. They may be thinking that if they can't win it on outright speed compared to the likes of Simply Superman and Secret DJ Jill, they're going to win it on strategy. And we have noticed in the past that Simply Superman does struggle a little bit with tyre wear. So wondering whether that Hero Jokin and Graham have gone for something here that might pay really well for them later on.
Yeah, there might be, and I didn't say it out loud, but I did a prediction that Sean was going to start on the hards, and he is, which can really pay out in the end. I mean, as Jordan and Secret Dundee disqualified from the session, so they have to start on the on cold medium tires at the start. So really going to struggle to get out of their places, but yeah. Graham and Hero Jokin starting on the mediums can really pay off, because I think most of the guys are going to be pitting around lap 4 on the soft tires.
Yeah, I would imagine so as well. 4 or 5, you've got to say, and then even then, it's going to be a stretch getting the hards to the end. If you understeer, if you've got a car that's pretty understeery, you're really going to cook, especially that front left tyre. With there's so many long right-handed corners on this track, that front left tyre does tend to overheat. Kind of no matter what tyre compound you're on, you can overheat the hards around this track if you're pushing just that little bit too hard. So we'll wait and see what these drivers do in terms of their tyre wear. Like I mentioned though, in the past, Simply Superman, not known for having the best tyre wear management. He really struggled with it last season, and it kind of pay to some great results for him. Do you think he's been able to overcome those demons, or do you think someone else on the soft compound tyres, maybe Stinner or Secret DJ Jill, might be able to do a bit of a better job?
Yeah, I must say Secret DJ Jill really has some good race pace. So he definitely is a threat. Stinner as well. I've seen him last week seen him racing for the first time. But Simply Superman did look really stable during qualifying. So if he can keep driving like that up in the race, then he shouldn't have a problem on tire wear. But yeah, if you're starting to overcook, you make a mistake, you're sliding wide, or yeah, you really overcook your tires, and it's hard to get those tire temperatures back in check.
Yeah, it's almost impossible, really, once they start overheating to get them back into that window. Just before we get going, though, Conti, who's your prediction for podium today?
Yeah, I think Super DJ Jill's gonna win the race. Simply Superman second. You know what? I'm gonna put Jabu. He did really good. I'm gonna put both Ferraris on the podium.
Nice stuff. That's going to be very interesting to see what happens in this race. I've got my eye on Hero Jokin and Graham a bit further down. We'll wait and see what they can do on that alternate strategy. Everyone is now lined up at the back of the field. Atlas Copo and Kieran Trapp make up the last row of the grid in the Williams and the Red Bull. We just now wait for the lights to come on ahead of the drivers. And here we go then. The Chinese Grand Prix awaits 28 laps around the Shanghai International Circuit. Lights are out and away they go. Who's got the best start? It looks like Stinner's actually made the best of the starts off the front row. He's already passed Simply Superman coming in towards turn 1. Secret DJ Jill's trying to find his way down the inside as well, but a brilliant start from the Ferrari drivers. Run a bit wide though, coming through turn 2. Secret DJ Jill having a look down the inside of Simply Superman and then around the outside of Stinner at turn 3. Can he get that move done? He's run a little bit wide there and he's on the curb. Stinner's just able to fend him off, but Stinner into the lead. Secret DJ Jill up into second. Simply Superman has not had the start he would have wanted. He's down to third, and look at DJ Jill trying to go all the way around the outside of Stinner at the hairpin, and he's going to make contact as well on the exit of the corner. But Secret DJ Jill, what a start from the AlphaTauri driver from third on the grid. He's up into the lead. He's basically swapped places with his championship rival Simply Superman. Jabu's had a good start. He's around the outside of Nelly, coming in through this middle sector. Can Nelly try and regain that fourth place back where he started as they come through the next corner? Nelly's going to be forced completely off the road. They still run side by side, but Jabu finally gets that move done. He's up into fourth place. Nelly trying to come back down the inside of the very next corner, but there's not really an overtaking opportunity for him. He's going to have to sit in that fifth place and make sure he's not overtaken by David. Jan's had a good start. He's up into seventh from ninth on the grid. Steve in eighth, had a Kiki ninth. Langfell has had a stunning start once again on that alternate strategy, currently running in 10th place in the Williams. Uncle Ben's rise under pressure from Graham, who's looking around the outside, coming up towards the hairpin. Can he get the move done on the McLaren driver who was being swamped at the start? Nelly and Jabu continue to run side by side further up the field. Graham's going to go clean around the outside of the hairpin and get past Uncle Ben's rise and up into that crucial 11th place spot once again. Nelly's back up into fourth as well. We've got a yellow flag at the back, that Secret Dundee that spun off the road in the Renault, but a fairly clean first lap to this race. Secret Agent Jill, a stunning start, and for the second week running, Langfell on the alternate strategy gets another stunning start in the Williams.
Yeah, incredible stuff, really, and I mean this in a good way. Aggressive driving from multiple drivers, but they kept it really, really clean, and yeah, this is promising for the next, for the remainder of the race. It really looked good. And Simply Superman, not the start you want to have when you start from pole position. As Secret DJ Jill, we know he's fast. He's got clean air now, so probably trying to run away from Stinner and extend his stint on the soft tires.
Yeah, trying to build a gap as quickly as he can. Obviously, DRS incredibly powerful around this track, so breaking that is going to be very crucial for Secret DJ Jill's race. He's just got to be careful he doesn't overheat those tyres in doing so. It does look like the timing screens are a little bit paused on my end, but it does look like in terms of actual eyesight that Secret DJ Jill might have already broken that 1 second window to the Ferrari driver. We'll wait and see when the timing screens updates itself. Nelly back up into that fourth place is still tucked up behind the Alfa Romeo of Simply Superman. Jabu stays in fifth ahead of David and Jan. Steve, Kiki, the soft runners. Langfell, the first medium runner, ahead of Graham, who's just behind him on the road. And you can see already Langfell easily keeping up with Kiki in front. Jan having a look at his teammate going in towards the hairpin. Nothing coming of that. He's not quite close enough. Further down the field, Sean on the hard compound tyres has had a decent start. He currently runs in 13th place. One person who's had a terrible start is Hero Jokin from 11th on the grid. That second pole position slot. Don't know what has happened to him on the first lap, but he just continues to drop places. He's battling Atlas Copa currently for 17th.
Yeah, starting 11, and I actually didn't see what happened as well. I saw a McLaren on lap 1 driving all the way on the right side on the final straight, but don't know if that was Hero Jokin and if he maybe had a problem, but yeah, lost 6 positions so far, so not the start you want to have, but he's got some racecraft, so it's not a race over yet, and he can win back some positions. So maybe it's going to be fun for him.
Yeah, it could be a fun race for him. Like you say, at the front of the field, DJ Gill is hanging right on that 1 second window. He was 1.1 seconds ahead when they crossed the line. Stinner's bringing it back just a little bit in the middle part of the lap. He's using his ERS to do so. They're both using their ERS to pull away from Simply Superman at the moment, who's not looking the best on those softs, but maybe he's just thinking about not overheating those tyres too quickly, and it might come to him in the next few laps or so. Stinner, though, crucially there, a mistake coming through turn 13, and that's given DJ Gill enough of a gap to break over 1 second. Stinner still has the DRS, but clearly a big mistake there from the Ferrari driver has given DJ Gill enough of a buffer as it stands. Langfell on the back of Kiki thinking about a move. He's not going to be close enough. It's just a case of waiting for the right moment for Langfell, or wait for these guys to pit, as I don't know, there's a bit of contact further back.
No, Secret DJ Gill almost lost control over his car while braking for the hairpin. So really struggling, and then Stinner was 1.5 seconds behind him and is back in DRS now.
Yeah, that's worked out quite nicely then for Stinner. One mistake for him, and then 2 corners later, Secret DJ Gill makes a mistake and gives him the time back. So that has brought Stinner back into play. You've got to say, DJ Gill looks like he's pushed very early on these softs to try and build the gap, and then has maybe started to cook his tyres just a little bit because they're all starting to reel him back in as this soft stint goes on. We're on to lap 4. This is probably the earliest we're going to start seeing some of these soft runners into the pit lane. You've got to say the one on the softs that is struggling the most at this point of the race is Kiki, currently 9th. Can't quite keep up with Steve in front, and has got Langfell and Graham stuck right behind him at the moment in that 10th and 11th spot, both looking for this alternate strategy to work nicely for them. Langfell looking for redemption from last week at Japan, where the alternate strategy went horribly wrong for him. Graham looking for another podium as Secret Dundee
Dundee's out.
Yeah, in the pit lane, that is, unfortunately for Dundee. After a poor start for him. That is a shame for the Renault driver, just another week where it's not gone his way in the race. Hopefully that will start to pick up for him a little bit later on. Just caught Hero Joken having a big moment as well there, coming out of turn 10. Really struggling down in 17th, and look at that. Stinner now only half a second behind DJ Gill. It definitely looks like DJ Gill has burnt his soft tyres out already.
Yeah, it really looks like it. He made one mistake in the traction zone or during braking, and Stinner putting the pressure on him. So definitely Stinner did a better job in keeping his tires cooler than DJ Gill did. And now's the question: if you're Stinner, what are you going to do? Are you going to go for the undercut, or are you going to wait until Secret DJ Gill is going to come in?
We've got our first pit stop in this race. It is David, who's in Kiki already with a time penalty. That's one thing to note about this track as well. Kiki's actually been overtaken by Langfell as well. So Langfell up a place. Into the pits goes David and Uncle Ben's Rice and Steve as well. They're all going onto a set of medium compound tyres, you would imagine, in this race at this point. So they're the first of our pit stops. We'll wait and see what they can do on a fresh set of hard compound tyres. Uncle Ben's Rice has actually gone for a set of medium, so he's gone for something a little bit different. While Stinner's having a look at back at Secret DJ Gill, Simply Superman has caught these guys very quickly as well, so it's all starting to Constantina up for the lead of this race. You would have said maybe if you were Simply Superman, coming a lap earlier, try and jump the pair of these two.
Yeah, I would probably go for it. He's got enough of a gap to Nelly, and as DRS, the DRS is quite powerful, and you're the second guy in DRS. You're just gonna suffer. So yeah, why not try and do the undercut and do a push lap on your out lap on the hards.
Yeah, one problem here for these drivers at the front of the field. Jabu stayed out on that lap, and he's got a spinner further back. That's Atlas Copo that spun. Continues his poor start to the season, unfortunately, for the OWR driver. But Jabu has stayed out, crucially. So both Ferraris still out on the track. That could pay horribly for them both. Alfa Romeo is also still out on the track, and Kiki continues to struggle. Graham now having a look down towards the inside of turn 14. Kiki is not putting up a fight. That is fair. You wouldn't imagine they're not in the same race at this point, as Graham goes down the inside, gets up into 8th place. Langfell starting to drive away a little bit further up the road. On to the next lap, crucially. Everybody stayed out apart from Jan, which is even more shocking.
Yeah,
we're on to lap 6. These guys are going quite long on the softs. Both Ferraris stayed out again. So one of these Ferrari drivers is going to get he's going to get muscled out the way for these drivers that pitted a lap earlier.
Yeah, I really hope they're communicating with each other, because if they make a mistake and come in, both come in at this lap, Jabu is really going to suffer and lose a lot of positions because of it. So or they're really confident on their tires, or they're just not communicating.
Yeah, I don't know which one it is at the moment. It may be the lack of communication, because if you were one of those Ferrari drivers, you probably would have come in on that previous lap. The soft tyres wear out so quickly that by the time you get to lap 7, they're going to be well past their best and a lot slower. Crucially for Jan, he came out behind David once again, so David was able to hold that position, but not by much. Jan is still tucked right up behind him, but the two Racing Points now on a bit of a push as they try and jump some of these drivers in front of them. They've got a very real chance of jumping at least one of the Ferrari cars. Nelly as well. In fact, pretty much all of them are under threat now from both of the Racing Points who have pitted that 1 or 2 laps earlier than the soft runners out the front. We'll wait and see what they do this lap further back as well. Langfeld catching these guys hand over fist, over half a second faster in the middle part of the lap that time around. So the medium tyre is the much better tyre at this point in the race. Flores as well thinking about a move on Sean into the hairpin, not quite close enough. Into the pit lane comes everybody then. Simply Superman a little bit deep into the braking zone there, nearly runs clean into the back of Stinner in the braking zone. Into the pit lane they come. Jabu has to stay out, so he's staying out for another lap. Unfortunately for him, this could pay really horribly for him, and looking on board with the Ferrari driver, a lot of understeer already. So Jabu here, I think, has made a mistake by staying out a lap too long.
Yeah, I think you're right, and you just look at Langfeld on the medium tires and the guys behind him. They've got so much more grip and pace in their car. So Jabu's tires really just shut. There's no pace in it anymore, and I think he's gonna lose out on the guys pitting a lap earlier, like Jen and David.
Oh, look at that. David already has come out side by side with Stinner for a net second place. This has worked out lovely for the Racing Point drivers. Can David get that move done? He's not got enough ERS to really get the move done on Stinner, so Stinner holds that net second place. Jan, though, crucially as well, is right up behind. So Jan and David have jumped Simply Superman and Nelly in the pit stops. They will jump Yabu as well as it stands, so that's worked out beautifully for both of the Racing Point cars. As it stands, a net P3 and a P4 for them, unless anything changes. Stinner now hasn't got really much of a threat from Simply Superman anymore. He can focus a lot more further forward on Secret DJ Jill. If Stinner wants to win this race, he's got to get ahead of that AlphaTauri before he disappears.
Yeah, but looks like they're quite evenly paced at the moment on his hard tires. It's just who's gonna keep these tires okay until the end of the race, because even though it's the hard tires, you can be struggling on tire wear, as Jabu. Oh yeah, he's coming in now. I thought he was going to stay out and not for another lap, but he does the sensible thing and come in as well. And really curious to see how many places he lost over the other guys.
Yeah, we'll see what happens to his race then. As a yellow flag in Sector 3. That is Stinner. Stinner's gone around, coming out of the hairpin. So from a net second place and a huge damage to his front wing, it's all fallen apart for Ferrari on this past lap. Stinner, running in a net second place, has dropped it seemingly all on his own, coming out of the hairpin. That is a front wing change. Jabu's come out of the pit lane behind Kiki. He's dropped so many places by staying out that 2 laps too long. He's well off this queue of cars that he was in further earlier on. So that has worked out horribly for Jabu, who was running in a net P5 before the pit stops. He's going to be under massive threat from Langfeld and Graham later on in this race. Speaking of the people further up, Langfeld leads. Graham's closing him in at the front of the field. Flores runs third ahead of Sean, who's the only one that started on the hard compound tyres, but he's got Kieran Trapp, Hero Jokin and Jordan right behind him on the road as well. DJ Jill, crucially for his race, Stinner's out of the way now, which is his closest rival, and he's got a car between himself and David, so Atlas Copo here could be a real roadblock here for the 2 Racing Points who currently sit in net second and third.
Yeah, he really can, and he can go on a couple of laps on these tires, so maybe he just tries to keep up with these guys and isn't going to put up a fight, because it's going to hinder him as well. Is it Jabu who's round?
I think so. Yeah, it looked like Jabu may have had some contact. Yeah, he has. Jabu's now had contact, I think, with Uncle Ben's Rice by the looks of things. I don't know if that is with the McLaren driver. I think Kiki as well was involved in that. By the looks of things, he's weaving down the straight and is backing off. So all 3 of these drivers have had some sort of contact. My word, what a horrible lap it's been for Ferrari there. Jabu now with front wing damage is going to have to pit. Stinner came out on the softs, by the way, so he's going to have to make another pit stop in this race to get to the end. What a disaster from Ferrari. 2nd and 5th in qualifying, now running last and second to last.
Yeah, it all terribly went wrong, and this is why you shouldn't ask me to do any predictions. I predicted them both on the podium, and it went horribly wrong for them. We're not even halfway the race, but yeah, really shame to see. But yeah, the only thing they can do now is finish the race and maybe hope for something special, like a safety car. That's the only thing in my opinion, that can save their race, as Jabu had front wing damage as well and going for the medium tires, and I don't think he's gonna make it on these medium tires till the end. It's gonna be hard at least.
Yeah, it's going to be 20 laps he's going to have to do. That is a long, long way to go on those medium tyres. They die off about lap 12, so that is going to be really difficult. Uncle Ben's Rice is the only one that put the hards on. Atlas Copo, meanwhile, has gone off the road again at turn 10. Something about turn 10 for Atlas Copo not going well for him at the moment. Then down to 13th, still yet to make his first pit stop. It's really been a disastrous move up into Division 3 so far for the Williams driver. That frees up David, but crucially for David, he's now nearly 2 seconds off the back of DJ Gill and has no ERS. Jan has more ERS and fresher tyres. So would you say we could see some team orders here? Could Jan be the one to maybe chase after Secret DJ Gill?
Yeah, it could be. Maybe David is going to give him a slingshot in the DRS zone, and as soon as Jan can pass him, he will. Because yeah, he looks the faster of the two now. But yeah, this is what Secret DJ Gill wanted. I mean, he's got free air, 8 seconds between him and Jordan, and yeah, not really going away. But it's really going to save his tires that he doesn't have to battle anyone from behind.
Yeah, and David at the moment with that lack of ERS is going to struggle to close in. Simply Superman in that net P4, 11th on the road, looking very racy as well. And the Alfa Romeo stayed out a lap too long and got jumped by the 2 racing points because of it. So that strategy of trying to make sure that he can get the hards to the end of the race easily has cost him track position now, and he's just losing time hand over fist to DJ Gill in front. We'll say though, DJ Gill, despite the fact he's in the net race lead, that car looks a little bit all over the place. We've seen a couple of mistakes so far from him early on in the softs. Just in one there on the hard compound tires as well, had a struggle of traction coming out of the hairpin. So does look like, despite the fact that he's got nice hard compound tires compared to the racing points behind and has got good pace, DJ Gill just doesn't look quite comfortable. So a minute mistake could put him out of the running, and David in that middle part of the lap was actually a good few tenths faster than him.
Yeah, he won half a second over Secret DJ Gill, and as you already said, you can see the straight line speed. I was expecting the straight line speed to be really good of DJ Gill, as Hero Jokin went off now.
Yeah, another one of the hairpin then coming out of turn 15. What a disastrous way for Hero Jokin. Great qualifying position in 11th. Not worked at all for him in the race. He's now coming into the pit lane. Another one with front wing damage. So both McLarens, both Ferraris and one Alfa Romeo have had to pit for damage in this race. Meanwhile, further up the field, Sean is battling with Kieran Trapp, and Kieran Trapp now then up into 4th place. Sean, starting on the hards, not doing a bad job. He's keeping up with Flores and Kieran Trapp quite nicely, but this battling is just going to cost him a lot of time later on. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Langfeld continues to lead. Graham's just sitting in behind, saving ERS, I think, for later on.
Yeah, I think Graham is doing the sensible thing, but yeah, it's kind of what he always does. He doesn't want to battle too much because it just costs you time, and you can be overtaking each other lap after lap. But if it loses you time on Flores and Kieran, and more important, guys like Secret DJ Gill and David, because Langfeld and Graham are gonna have much more better tires at the end of the race. Why do it? If Langfeld has the speed, just stay behind him in DRS and save everything up until the end of the race.
Yeah, definitely the smarter strategy call, like you mentioned, as we come through. Then coming up to the back straight, David is trying desperately to get within DRS range of Secret DJ Gill. He's tantalising on the edge, 1.1 seconds. What this has done, though, has dropped Jan out of DRS range of his teammate. So Jan now struggling to keep up with David. Crucially for Jan, Simply Superman's not quite close enough to challenge this time around, so they'll stay in the correct order. David, it seems, though, on raw speed, despite having the oldest set of hard compound tyres out of all this net top 4, seems to have the most raw speed at the moment, as Jordan into the pit lane now, one of the first medium runners into the pit lane for his scheduled pit stop. I don't believe he's got any damage, so one of the first people for that scheduled stop in the Renault. We'll see where he comes out. He was at the back of that queue of cars. He will come out completely on his own, ahead of Hero Jokin, but behind Nelly, so he's got a lot of free air to play with and get those hards to the end of the race. It should be quite easy, as Stinner has now crashed coming through turn 13, completely out of the race now. So what a shame for him. Started out so well, has gone horribly wrong. Does this trigger any sort of safety car? I don't think it does. In fact, he didn't actually crash out the race. He's spun, but his car's continuing on, so he's just retired out on track, unfortunately. So it seems like Stinner has pretty much given up on this race. What a shame for the Ferrari driver. And now, look at that. David is almost right within that DRS range. In fact, he's under the second. He's now just got to keep it under a second when they get through the DRS detection point.
Yeah, and this is great. And even though in start of the stint Jen looked faster, Jen's now losing time on David, and David is doing great. So even though he doesn't have any ERS left, and it's gonna cost him on the straight, and he can save up now if he can stay inside of the ERS. But it really looks like he's got much more grip in the traction zones, and the long left or long right hander they just came through.
Yeah, definitely did seem like that, didn't it? You can see Secret Joe having a wobble on the exit. Now this puts David in DRS range. He can now start to save up a bit of that ERS that he's been lacking for these past few laps. So now he can keep closer, which will make his race a whole lot easier. Graham now into the pit lane at the end of lap 12. So this is going to be crucial to see where he comes out relative to the pack. He's going to be probably somewhere close. He's probably going to be, I would say, behind Nelly, but he's going to be ahead of Jordan. So we'll see where he is. It's actually going to be quite close to Nelly, I think, coming out of the pit lane, but he should be behind him, as there is the pit limiter line there. He comes out of the pit lane. There goes Nelly past him. Atlas Copo still yet to pit in this race, but Graham just out behind Nelly, who was in that battle in the front of the field, stayed out too long. Graham is not that far off that queue of cars all battling for the podium. In fact, it's just about 6 seconds or so. Graham, it seems impossible for Graham to get penalties, and he's got much fresher hard compound tyres with a lot more ERS. So Graham here, not out of the question, and that means that Langfell himself as well is also not out of the question in this race.
No, he definitely isn't. Yeah, Graham, as you said, clean driver, and it looks like Nelly is really struggling to get past Atlas Copo on his 12 lap old mediums and having a couple of spins. So yeah, not what Nelly wants, especially now Graham is yeah, just on his hill, and probably gonna try and get him, because it can't take too long for Nelly to overtake, and he's in trouble then. And Graham is smart enough to notice that, to see that, as Hero Joken is out.
Oh yeah, Hero Joken then out of the race, then coming through, I think turn 7 there, he's lost the car. What a shame. Hero Joken, another driver who's had a great start to the season, just fallen apart for him today in this race. Here comes Nelly on the back of Atlas Copo. Can he get the move done? No, he can't. He stays in behind. Graham's right there as well, thinking about a move, but he's not close enough. Unfortunately for Graham, I think he was using this lap to try and undercut Langfell, but he's come out right in traffic, so he might not be able to do that. Langfell into the pit lane. So was Kieran Trapp, so was Flores. Where do they come out relative to these guys? Langfell then down the pit lane, out of the pit speed limiter now. Where is he going to be relative to his teammate? He's just behind Atlas Copo, side by side with Nelly as he comes out through turn 1. Graham's right there as well, but Langfell here, crucially for him, is going to get past Nelly, and Langfell and Atlas Copo moves out of the way completely. So that has worked perfectly for Langfell. Now runs in 7th place. It'll be a net 6th when Sean comes into the pit lane. Langfell here on for a possible great result in that alternate strategy. This time around, just got to try and keep it on the road, as Graham down the inside in towards the hairpin. Light contact with Nelly on the inside of the corner. Graham doesn't get the best traction out of the corner either. Trying to follow Langfell through. Can't get the move done, so Nelly holds on to the 8th place for the time being. That was really crucial for Langfell's race, so that he got out ahead of Nelly.
Yeah, and hats off to Atlas Copo. If I was Langfell, I would really send him flowers or something, because he is the one who held up Nelly and Graham and gave Langfell the opportunity to overtake both during the pit stop phase, and he's just driving away because Nelly isn't the one, doesn't want to let Graham pass. So they're battling hard, and Langfell already almost 1.5 seconds up the road.
Yeah, and Langfell now using the ERS to breeze past Steve and up into 6th place. Jan as well, battling with Simply Superman. And Simply Superman, I think, might have just been run out of road a little bit at the hairpin. Jan holds on to that 4th place. Simply Superman can't get the move done. Langfell breeze past Steve. Nelly and Graham still battling. Nelly desperately trying to hold on to that place. Graham thinking about a move around the outside of the final corner. That's never going to work, but it gives him the much better run down the pit straight. Nelly's already derating as well down that pit straight, so Graham is just going to breeze past. Finally up into 8th place, but he's already a little bit detached from Langfell further down as well. Flores now runs in 10th, and I've got to say, for Flores, a man that has struggled so much in Division 3, at the moment on for a top 10. It's been a great race for him so far. He's got Kieran Trapp right behind and a lot of drivers in front that he can try and attack later on. So Flores here looking at one of his best results in TTML.
Yeah, doing great. As Nelly improved on his qualifying speed, Flores, well, this race really improving on his speed on track just during the race, because he's doing great, and he's got fresh tires now. Guys up front, up the road like Nelly and Steve got much older tires, so that's really going to benefit him at the end of the race.
Yeah, we've got to keep an eye on this gap now as well between Superman and Langfeld. It was 4.9 at the start of the lap, so we'll keep an eye on that. But Langfeld's tyres, 9 laps younger than David's. That is a hefty amount of laps to do compared to the drivers at the front of the field. So Langfeld here could be in a very good position later on in this race. David, meanwhile, is continuing to stick to the back of Secret DJ Jill. They now run at very similar levels of ERS, so David is doing exactly what I said he might be doing, and just sitting behind and saving up ERS for a later attack. His only issue is his tyres are much older than DJ Jill's in front. Graham now passes Steve as well. Steve, with that lack of ERS, is just a sitting duck down the back straight, and Graham's up into 7th. That'll become 6th later on when Sean comes into the pits. Flores and Kieran Trapp now running side by side. Kieran Trapp trying to get the move on the Haas driver into the final corner. He does so, gets up into 10th place nicely. Flores drops down into 11th. Jordan at the moment in 12th, a little bit detached from this queue of cars, but he's also on that alternate strategy. We've now just got to keep an eye on when Sean comes in, and when Sean comes in, he's going to be on a fresh set of mediums, you would imagine, so he's going to be rapid towards the end of this race.
Yeah, he is, and you can just see from Jabu and Kiki that those medium tires, especially at the beginning of the stint, are so much faster than the hard tires. So yeah, if he, I hope he comes out in some free air and can show us the speed on the mediums. But David, must say, he is saving up some ERS, but his fuel meter is showing yellow, so I think he has some fuel issues.
Yeah, maybe underfield the car just a little bit for this race. That's going to hinder him in the battle with Secret DJ Joe, who doesn't seem to have that problem at the moment. And they are still continuing to pull away from Jan. Jan now 3 seconds back from his teammate, but holding on to that third place from Simply Superman. Great qualifying. Poor start to the race. He was running nicely on the soft stint despite the poor start. Caught out behind the 2 racing points in the pit lane. But since then, he's been right up behind Jan ever since Jan's lost DRS to his teammate and just hasn't been able to find a way through. Simply Superman with the pace just hasn't been able to do it. As further down, Kieran Trapp and Nelly continue to battle. Kieran Trapp, gets past Nelly, so Kieran Trapp up into 9th. Nelly now just falling down the field on those hard compound tyres, just proving that even the 8-lap holder tyres just aren't working for him. He's down a place, and Flores, I imagine, is going to get past his teammate fairly easily as well. With Sean into the pits, he's going to come out probably behind Flores, and I'd say maybe behind Jordan as well. We'll see where he is. He drops out of the pit lane just now. There he goes. It's going to be very close actually with Jordan as he comes in towards turn 1. Sean will have the inside line. Jordan tries to go around the outside, can't quite, does it, doesn't have the grip, so Sean gets 11th place over Jordan. It's got 3 seconds to Nelly in front, and Nelly proving that the old compound tyres really do make you a sitting duck.
Yeah, they do. Even Flores just passed him, and I believe he was 3 or 4 seconds behind Nelly a couple of laps ago. So Nelly not enjoying himself on these 9-lap old hards, Simply Superman still is struggling to overtake Jan. He can come within 2/10 in the braking zones, but on in traction zones he's just losing time on Jan. So
we might have a move for the lead
I don't
here.
think
David's using up some of that ERS. I thought he was going to go for a move there. He was using up quite a lot of ERS, but he just wasn't close enough down the straight. And actually, just thinking about it here, just to add on to your point, doesn't seem like DRS is that powerful. It seems that when people start to lose ERS, they lose places. But just seeing there, for Simply Superman and David on ERS, with DRS to the drivers in front who don't have it, they only gained a couple of tenths. So maybe DRS isn't that powerful around here.
Yeah, maybe only the DRS train is, but yeah, Simply Superman as well. He's trying now to get the outside, but isn't close enough to jam. But switching to the inside, side by side now through this corner, it's really difficult to keep it side by side here because it's so long the outside now. But for the time being, Jan keeps holding on to 3rd place.
Yeah, held on to it there. One thing to note that was quite interesting there on board with Simply Superman, he was running in 5th gear through turn 2. That's a very high gear for that corner, and that just gave him a really poor run off of the next corner at turn 3. Just couldn't get any power down onto the circuit, and the car barely didn't move when he put the power down. So maybe that's just one thing that Simply Superman needs to note. He's just running in too high a gear for him to be able to make the moves. It maybe needs to be a bit more aggressive. Langfeld, by the way, that gap is now down to 3.3 seconds between himself and Simply Superman, as Simply Superman and Jan continue to battle. So Langfeld closing in on that 3rd place battle at the moment. I think Langfeld and Graham are probably out of the question for a race win unless either of our top 2 massively struggle with tyre wear later on. But a podium for Langfeld and Graham definitely not out of the cards just yet. Kieran Trapp and Flores might have a say in it a bit later on as well. Sean meanwhile, on that last lap, nearly a second and a half faster than Flores in front. Those medium compound tyres doing really well for the Mercedes driver.
Yeah, they do. Really, really faster. But just notice Nelly in 16th on soft tires. Not sure what happened to him. I didn't see any yellow, so don't know if he crashed or just yeah, something else happened.
Yeah,
But going on to these softs, he's gonna have to pit again.
Yeah, he's gonna have to pit again or just nurse them to the end of the race. But yeah, that is going to be not only impossible for the softs to get to the end without either puncturing or completely falling off a cliff. So he's going to really struggle, and a lot of drivers here have made a lot of crucial mistakes in this race. Some of the drivers towards the back of the field had great qualifyings, like Jabu, Uncle Ben's White, Nelly, Kiki have all ended up at the back of the field after various incidents. And again, Simply Superman still can't find a way past Jan. We've seen this so many times from Jan in previous seasons where he gets to the front of a queue of cars and then it's just impossible for people to overtake him. We don't know whether it's the strategy or whether it is just something about the back of Jan's car that puts people off. But Jan is able to stick at the head of a train very nicely. It's very difficult for people to overtake him. So Simply Superman here has now got to start thinking more about the drivers behind, maybe.
Yeah, as Langfeld keeps on catching these guys and has got fresher tires than these two guys. So. And then it's going to be crucial if Simply Superman tries to overtake Jan. It has to be on point because you're going to be in trouble from Langfeld if you try to overtake but you miss that window of opportunity. Langfeld's just going to breeze past him then.
Yeah, he is going to definitely breeze past. Like you say, Graham as well, closing in at a fairly similar rate in that Red Bull, doing a good job. Kieran trapped now within DRS range of Steve in front and has a lot more ERS. Vlor is now under pressure from Sean, who's right up there. Sean looking to the inside line for the hairpin, not confident enough on the brakes to go for the move, but that's a battle for 9th place on the road as it stands. Can Sean maybe think about a move up towards turn 1 as Steve, interestingly, Steve is into the pit lane. Now that's very interesting. His tyres are 13 laps old, the same age as what David is running, and Steve has decided that he cannot get to the end of the race on that set of tyres. So he's in for a set of medium compound tyres. That's very interesting. Has David maybe pitted too early, and can he not get to the end of the race on that set of tyres?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was going to be a struggle, but yeah, it could be that he's just running a really aggressive setup. Because yeah, just pitting now and going on the mediums, I don't think it. If his tires were a bit shot, I don't think it was going to make a difference this pit stop or just go on the hard tires because he lost a lot of time now as well, and has Kiki behind them. But I think Kiki is going to have to pit again, so not really going to be a struggle for Steve there.
Yeah, at least he's comfortable in that 11th place, but he's got 12 seconds to Jordan. That is going to be a tall order if he wants to get back inside that top 10. Sean is continuing to try and find a way past Flores. David, yeah, is he going for the move here? He is going for the move on Secret DJ Jill into the hairpin. I don't know if there was a slight bit of contact there, but David can't get the traction out of the corner. He's using up the ERS he's saved to attack Secret DJ Jill now. Is he going to go for the move maybe into turn 1? Didn't get the best run out the final corner. DJ Jill launched off that final corner, but look at that. DJ Jill now derating in towards turn 1. David down the inside line, breezes up the inside, and DJ Jill a little bit of contact with the side of the racing point, can't hold the line to the inside, so David now takes over the lead of the race. DJ Jill is down into second place. We swap positions now. David leads the train, DJ Jill down into second. What can the AlphaTauri driver now do? He's looked comfortable at the front of the field so far. Now he's got a lot more pressure on his shoulders. Jan and Simply Superman, by the way, still third and fourth. Jan still holding on to that place, and crucially on that last lap, Jan and Simply Superman were both faster than Langfeld, interestingly. So Langfeld now starting to struggle to keep up. Yellow flag in sector 3. That, I think, is for Nelly, who has made a mistake somewhere down the back straight for some reason. I don't know what has happened to him. He's completely backed off by the looks of things. So we'll wait and see if he's going to dive into the pit lane. But David now into the lead of the race. We've got to see what his raw speed is like. Earlier on when he was catching DJ Dill, David looked like the faster of the two drivers.
Yeah, but and that goes for both drivers. Not really much ERS to play with, so it has to come off of raw speed of David to be able to break away from Secret DJ Jill, and if it is possible, it isn't going to be easy for him.
Yeah, definitely isn't going to be easy, like you mentioned, as into the pits comes Nelly. Then he's nearly a lap down now. What a disastrous race this has been for Nelly, as DJ Jill runs into the back of David there at the hairpin. He was so late on the brakes, couldn't get the move done, and these guys still struggling for traction. Simply Superman, a late dive down the inside of the hairpin on Jan. It didn't work, he went too deep, and Jan swept back underneath, so Jan still holds that third place. Simply Superman, it seems now, getting a little bit desperate. He's trying some of these late moves to get the move done, and just can't quite pull it off. DJ Jill again, trying to get past David, who's derating in through turn 1, but DJ Jill cannot find a way through, so we've got a good battle now for the race lead. These two have built up enough of a gap where they can afford to battle like this and it not cost them later on in the race, which is what they've been working towards in these past 10 laps or so. Worked out nicely for them, but David used all that ARS to pass Secret DJ Jill. Do you think that... Oh, is DJ Jill's run clean into the back of him?
Oh.
He's run clean into the back of David at the hairpin. That has broken DJ Jill's front wing. I was about to say, has David gone too early? DJ Jill's completely misjudges braking zone at a track that is so front limited. He's broken his front wing, so from a possible win in this race, DJ Jill is now a threat of falling completely off the podium.
Yeah, just wanted to say, I think David did win a bit earlier. He could probably have waited a couple of laps, but now Secret DJ Jill, yeah, his race is just over. The only thing he can do now is put on mediums, maybe softs, but that's going to be a stretch. Put on mediums, go for fastest lap, because even if he stays out, look at the way Jan is already catching up to him. He isn't gonna be able to hold position.
No, it's going to be really difficult for him. We'll wait and see what he does. He used all of his DRS down the back straight there as he heads up towards the hairpin. What does he decide to do? Does he try and limp it to the end of the race, or does he dive in? This now gives David a great opportunity to focus on tyre wear towards the end of the race. DJ Gill's staying out, so he doesn't want to come in. He wants to try and hang on as much as he can. I guess if he pitted now, he'd probably come out behind Jordan, closer to Steve with that front wing change. So if he stayed out, he might have the opportunity of beating some of those drivers later on with 6 laps to go. So we'll wait and see where he can get to. Jan and Simply Superman, though, got to get a move on if they want that second place off the AlphaTauri driver. Like I mentioned, though, David now has a great opportunity to slow it down just a little bit and focus on getting those tyres to the end of the race.
Yeah, and it looks like he's already doing that, because he isn't winning too much time on Secret DJ Jill now. He went over a second, but he's keeping it stable now, so he's already saving up tires, as Secret DJ Jill is really pushing with this front wing damage to keep up with David and keep in front of Jan.
Yeah, really trying the middle part of the lap is where he's going to struggle the most with those long corners, and the long corners are just going to continue to burn those tyres out. That front left is going to be screaming with this front wing damage that he has got, so we'll wait and see what he can do with it. Jan not closing in a massively rapid pace, but Jan now will be smelling blood of a second place. Simply Superman will be looking at another being back on the podium. This could be great for Simply Superman's championship here if he can close in. Jan, no, maybe not closing in fast enough. He maybe needs to be notified that Secret DJ Jill's got front wing damage, because at the moment he's only gained about 7/10 on this last lap, and at this point in the race that might not be enough to steal that second place.
No, they still have 5.5 laps to go.
Yeah.
But Langfell isn't winning too much time on them as well, so maybe DJ Jill's just really fast despite his wing damage.
It could be very possible. We'll wait and see how he is able to do on the next lap. I wonder as well. It seemed like a lot of these drivers were struggling midway through on their hard stint, and then the pace has picked back up. So I wonder if there's like a phase in these tyres where they lose a bit of speed and then they pick back up again later on. So we'll wait and see what they're able to do. But like you mentioned, Langfell closed in quite quickly when he came out of the pit lane, and then since then it's levelled out about 3 seconds. Graham as well, it's levelled about 2 seconds between him and Langfell. Same for the other rebel of Kieran Chapp, who's at the moment on for one of his better results in TTML in 7th place. It's been a good race for him. Sean passed Flores, but since then hasn't been able to get any further. It seems like his medium tyres are burnt out pretty quickly, because he can't really get any higher than 8th as it stands. Now the gap is really coming down for that second place as the tyre temps start to heat up for DJ Jill. The pain of that front wing damage just gets worse and worse and worse as it goes on, and Jan is now only 1.8 seconds behind.
Yeah, as you said, really his tires are burning out extra hard because he doesn't have the downforce, and the tires have to work harder because of that, and they just can't. I mean, it's already difficult enough with a front wing on your car, and if that's damaged, it's just incredibly hard to keep up the pace. But he did it long enough, and heads up for that for DJ Jill, that he could keep up his speed, but probably his left front is just crying already.
Yeah, just begging him to come into the pit lane, I would imagine, at the moment. But we're going to have 4 laps to go, I think, when we cross the line. If my maths are correct, it's 5, 6, 7, yeah, 4 laps to go. There we go. Bit of quick maths in the head. We got there in the end. So yeah, 4 laps to go. So he could get to the end of the race without puncturing. He'll have to be a little bit lucky with that front left tyre, and we'll see where he ends up in the field. Simply Superman continuing to try and find a way past Jan, and just can't do it. It's been like this ever since the pit stops at about lap 6. Simply Superman has just been stuck behind Jan and can't find a way through. By the way, if the race was to finish now, this would be David's first win in TTML, if I'm not mistaken. That would be great for David, who had such an upward trajectory from Season 2 to Season 3. That upward trajectory continues on to Season 4, staring at his possible first win, and they could be staring at a Racing Point 1-2. This could be great for Racing Point in the Manufacturers and the Drivers' Championship. They sit 4th and 5th in the Drivers at the moment. David 4th, Jan 5th. David here could jump right to the front of the field, and Simply Superman at the moment, if he can get past Secret DJ Jill, could be staring at the championship lead.
Yeah, he definitely can, but Simply Superman is trying everything in his power to change that. And now Jen catched up with Secret DJ Jill, and important for Jan, so he can save up some ERS. He's got DRS over Secret DJ Jill, but last thing he wants now is to get stuck behind DJ Jill. He really wants to pass him, next DRS zone at latest.
Yeah, he's got to get it done as quickly as possible. And look at that, Secret DJ Jill really struggling on traction as well, coming out of turn 15. So those tyres really starting to go on that AlphaTauri. Jan, though, I don't think it's going to be close enough here unless he can get a move down the inside of turn 1. They're both very low on ERS. DJ Jill moves to the inside, then back to the racing line. That was a very late move back onto the racing line from the AlphaTauri driver, but you can see there just the understeer from the AlphaTauri. Drifts wide mid-corner. Jan's going to go down the inside, make it the outside for the next corner. They make a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. Can Simply Superman try and capitalise on this down the inside of Jan here? And Simply Secret DJ Jill has a bit of a wobble. They're nearly 3 wide as they come up towards the hairpin. DJ Jill really aggressive in his defence here as Jan's basically forced onto the grass in the braking zone. Jan can't get the move done, and DJ Jill defends aggressively. Simply Superman's going to try and force Jan to the inside, and he does. Simply Superman capitalises there on the defensive driving from DJ Jill. That was great driving from Simply Superman to get up into third. DJ Jill trying everything to hold on, maybe being aggressive in his defence.
Yeah, probably a little bit, but this really is what I was afraid of happening for Jan. Got held up by Secret DJ Jill, and Simply Superman able to capitalize on that, and he's got DRS now as well. So if he can get a good exit now, Simply Superman, he's just gonna be can be able to put Secret DJ Jill between him and Jan, and really benefit of that.
Yeah, here we go then, down towards the hairpin. Simply Superman has none in his ERS bank, but look at that to the inside line. No contest, it maybe seems, in towards the hairpin. Simply Superman's going to get that move done. Jan thinking about getting down the inside as well, but there's not enough room. He's going to have to back out of that move and stay in 4th place for the time being. Simply Superman then up into 2nd place. 5.1 seconds off our leader. DJ Jill runs wide and gets a penalty in the process as well. So just goes from bad to worse for the AlphaTauri driver. Jan's going to have to try and get through to make sure that he's not under threat from Langfell behind. Langfell runs 5th, now has a possibility of a top 4 finish. Jan again trying that inside line into turn 2. This time much more aggressive overtake there from Jan, but again DJ Jill runs wheel to wheel with Jan through turn 3. He's going to hold it once again. Jan this time around is going to have to try and go for the inside line of the hairpin rather than the outside. Can he think about it? He's going to jink to the inside line really late when the brakes goes. Jan basically forces DJ Jill completely off the track, and DJ Jill nearly loses the rear of the car in the process. Jan through and up into 3rd. DJ Jill down to 4th, and look at that, Langfeld is already there, and it's not long as well. If they continue to battle like this, it won't be long until both of the Red Bulls are there trying to challenge DJ Jill as well.
Yeah, really, I must say a little bit too much wheel banging for my likings, but yeah, Jan really struggling to because the second half of the corner where it goes left on what is it officially turn 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of that wing damage, DJ Jill just understeers heavily and forces Jan to the outside, which he there's nothing he can do about that. It's just the wing damage. So yeah, the Simply Superman 1.4 seconds up the road, while Langfell overtook DJ Jill as well. So Simply Superman the big winner out of this all.
Yeah, it seems like he is the big winner. Yeah, looking at that second place finish, Jan then onto the podium. It's not going to be the 1-2 that maybe Racing Point were hoping for, but at the moment they could be staring at a double podium. Lang fell through, but DJ Gill's trying to come back at him here down towards turn one. Langfell moves to the inside line. That's a smart move because DJ Gill on the outside could just understeer clean off. Langfell to the inside, look at that, easily able to hold on to fourth place because of that damage. Is Langfell going to be close enough on the final lap to have a run at Jan late on? While the two Red Bulls may not catch DJ Gill, they do have the penalty advantage over the AlphaTauri, so Graham could be staying at a 5th place finish and Kieran Trapp 6th. So from outside the top 10, that's a great result for both of the Red Bull drivers. Langfell, though, the one that has made this alternate strategy work the best. On the final lap, we're halfway through. David is nursing those tyres to the very end of this race, as with his fuel as well. The gap is now down to 4.1 between himself and Simply Superman. I don't want to say anything just yet because a puncture can happen at any time, but David, so far in this race, has done everything right. He had such great pace and clean air catching Secret DJ Gill. He pitted early and got the undercut. That worked nicely for him, and now that he's got past DJ Gill, he's done enough to pull enough of a gap from the rest of the drivers that he can cruise to the finish. As it stands, down the back straight, we're nearly there for the Racing Point driver, but David here staring at his possibly his first win in TTML.
Yeah, and I must say, really nothing. He still has a couple of corners to go, but there's nothing that he could have done better this race. Just it turned out perfectly for him, and yeah, please don't mess up last corner because I'm gonna feel terrible then. He doesn't crosses the line, and a well-deserved win for David today.
There we go then, our third different winner out of 3 races. David takes his first win in TTML. Simply Superman gets into second place from pole position, but he will take the championship lead with that second place finish. Jan gets third, so it's a double Racing Point podium for them. Langfell fourth from outside of the top 10. What a drive from Langfell. Graham does pick up fifth ahead of Kieran Trapp in sixth, so a great day for Red Bull today. DJ Gill from the lead of the race, a comfortable lead as well, with damage after contact with David earlier on, drops to 7th place. He only held on to 7th by a 10th over Shaw, and it was that close in the end. So DJ Gill in 7th, Sean in 8th, Flores in 9th. A great result for Flores, his first top 10 of the season. May that be the first of many for him. Steve actually ended up passing Jordan on that final lap, so Steve gets up into 10th ahead of the Renault driver who crosses in 11th. So a bit of a chaotic race. We knew the strategy would play a part in this one. Strategy didn't actually play that much of a part in the end. It was more about when you pitted off the softs rather than if you started on the mediums. It was David that timed the pit stop perfectly, and then it was DJ Gill that made the mistake. So what a drive from David, a great result for him. And looking at, we might have a few different winners this season compared to last season, where we only had 3 throughout the season. We've had 3 in the first 3 races this time around.
Yeah, and you predicted it at the start of the season, I believe, that we will be able to have a lot of different race winners because it's this close. But yeah, for some drivers, the strategy did play a role. Guys like Sean, who started on the hards, and Langfell, who did great as well, starting from what was it, 12th?
I think it might have been 13th or 14th on the grid. We'll just see here as we come through. Yeah, 14th on the grid then from Langfell up to 4th. So great drive from him. That's running through the full finishing order then. David from 6th on the grid gets first. Simply Superman from pole position into second. We mentioned at the start that Jan might be in one of the worst places on the grid. He made the most of it to get to 3rd place. That's a brilliant drive from the Racing Point driver himself. Langfell then 4th ahead of Graham in 5th. Kieran Trapp from last on the grid, by the way. Completely forgot about that. Last on the grid to 6th place. What a great drive from Kieran Trapp. One of his best results in TTML. DJ Gill, what could have been for him, he ends up in 7th ahead of Sean in 8th, Flores 9th, and Steve rounds off the top 10. He's the first person on a 2-stop strategy in that race. Jordan and Atlas Copo 11th and 12th ahead of Kiki, who made 3 pit stops in that race. What a disaster for Kiki that race was. Uncle Ben's Rice 14th ahead of Jabu in 15th, Nelly 16th, Hero Jokin in 17th, Stinner 18th, and Secret Dundee 19th. A bit of a disastrous race for McLaren and Ferrari. Great qualifying Ferrari to 2nd and 5th. In the end, 15th for Jabu, the last of the finishers, and a DNF for Stinner. So it's a shame for Ferrari, and Stinner in that race could have been within a great shot of winning that one based on where he was earlier on.
Yeah, and his pace really looked good, but yeah, all fell apart because of a spin and spun again after that, and just finished his race. So yeah, Ferrari started good. They had good starting positions, but in the end, David, superb win, and yeah, Kieran didn't really notice him, but starting 19th, finishing 6th, great result.
Yeah, really good result. Maybe taking a leaf out of his Red Bull teammates' book there and flying under the radar until the very end of the race. It worked out very nicely for both Red Bulls at the end of that one as well. So Graham still right in the thick of that battle, was third in the standings going into this one. He might drop behind both the racing points, but he's still right up there. It's still going to be very close at the front of the field. Simply Superman, though, will take over the championship lead heading into the fourth round. Traditionally, though, we've seen, especially in Season 2, Simply Superman start off a season very well and then kind of dip in the mid-season, and lose performance. This time around, he can't afford to do that because if he does dip even slightly below his average speed, both racing points, you've got to say Graham as well. You've got to say Secret DJ Jill's right up there. Both Ferraris would be right up there as well. There's a lot of drivers that are ready to capitalise if Simply Superman has a dip in form.
Yeah, yeah, I really think. I mean, we still have a long season to go. There was the third race, but I think the one who makes the least mistakes, as you saw, Secret DJ Jill make a mistake and finishing way below where he could have finished. The one with the most stable season is probably going to be our champion, and it's easily said, but it's that close that one mistake can cost you the championship here.
Yeah, it really can cost you, like you say. It's going to be crucial to get the best full season one that you can get. Before we finish off the stream though today, Conti, who was your driver of the day?
Yeah, I really have to go for David. His first win in TTML, started sixth, just some superb driving, little bit lucky. Yeah, I don't know if you can call it luck with the wing damage DJ Jill had, but just superb driving today and a well-deserved win. So he's my driver of the day.
Yeah, I think he's a good shout for driver of the day as well. I'm going to give my driver of the day, though, to Langfell on that alternate strategy. Great drive from him. More than made up for what happened in Japan. It could have been a very similar result in Japan. He's finally got some good points on the board for Langfell. Is this the start of an upward turn for him as well? So we'll wait and see what happens this time next week. This time next week, we'll be at Canada for the next round of the season. So another track where strategy plays a huge part, and it's technically a street circuit. So that is going to be very interesting to see how that race plays out. Tune in, obviously, to League Racing TV for the rest of the week. Divisions 4 and 5 will be taking place tomorrow. Conti will hopefully get to the end of the race before he gives up. So we'll wait and see how he feels about the race tomorrow. But Divisions 4 and 5 will be at 8 p.m. tomorrow. We're back this time next Thursday as our Division 2. Division 1 is on Tuesday next week, all at 8 p.m. So tune into those on League Racing TV. But from myself and Conti, it's thank you very much for joining us once again, and we will see you in a week's time. Goodbye.